We are off to round 3 in the winner's bracket. This one is going to be between Zlo and Massive. 2000 rank versus 1700. Of course, the symmetrical Aeon matchup that we are all used to. The map is Standing Stones, and this is a map that I particularly hated when it was in the ladder pool. Although the ladder pool was changed just recently, so it may be once again, and my terror of ladder may be at an all-time high, and justifiably so. I'm going to take a look at Massive first. He is on the right-hand side, and I think he's queuing up a very weird build order indeed. I think he misjudged where exactly he placed that factory, because now his stuff is all kind of off-center and weird. So yay for misplacing the first factory. He's going first land, second air, I think. Yes. After a total of 7 T1 power generators and 4 mass extractors built off of the commander with a slight step over to the edge in order to build the others without having to walk. We've also got engineer out first. There is a little bit of reclaim behind the base, both trees and rocks, so if you can get that to boost up your early game, that is a good thing to do. This is another map where I have a little bit of trouble estimating the expansions, because you need engineers to hit the outside edges, you need tanks to protect those engineers, and you got to have the right balance of the two. Too few engineers, you don't get your mass extractor soon enough and your reclaim soon enough, and the other guy beats you. And too few tanks, and the other guy snipes off all your engineers, and it didn't matter anyway. So you gotta find the right balance of the two. Zlo is going for a first land factory, and he doesn't have anything else queued beyond the 3 T1 power generators on the docket. He does have an engineer claiming the other mass extractors and then running out to the front to grab a little bit of manual reclaim over on this edge. A bunch of little rocks out there worth 10 or 5 mass each. So if you can get those in hand, you can get another factory a-running, and it is good for everybody. Got a flare online early on. That is going to zippity-doo-dah out through the center, and then hook a right over towards the expansions to the south of his opponent's base. So the hope here is that he can pick up an expansion here, slow down that claiming of the mass extractors, and come out ahead in the long run. The problem is, little does he suspect that there is an enemy flare mirroring his every move almost, well, not almost exactly, but closely enough that the two are going to cross paths. In the center of this mass, we have a very oddly colored two-tone rock that is worth 75 mass, along with 3 brothers of his. That is going to be a couple of fights, not fights, a couple of shells exchanged. Zlo not microing, and Massive microing, and you can see who won. Weird. Very weird. I think that Massive actually disrupted his flare's firing patterns with the skedaddling all over the place. So a cautionary tale to those of you who wish to over-micro your labs. Maybe versus other labs, it is not such a great idea. Zlo dropping 4 land factories. One just got canceled though, so maybe not. But the thing that I would like to point out here is that he is going for a pile of land. He has canceled the 4th and gone for a 4th air factory instead, probably due to the fact that he saw the air scout there with the flare that is on the front edge. So Massive did get a few early combat units out. He's got some pestersome little things here and there tucked into the edges of the map. But he does have a 2nd air factory up, which is going for a bomber, and he's going for 3rd and 4th land. Fewer total factories with more total mass extractors online. 13 mass to his name, 220 power with a better unit availability. Zlo, however, is starting to roll out more tanks and may be able to take this advantage back, especially due to the fact that he is going to get all of the reclaim in the center for his very own. Bomber is headed around to the north. He was able to pick off the flare that killed his engineer over here with that Aurora, so vengeance has been wrought. And then on the other edge, I think there should be a wreck around here somewhere, because I don't see the flare that existed just a moment ago. And yep, there it is, right over there. And this engineer is safe and sound to build those 2 mass extractores. We've got 3 T1 anti-airs moving up to the north. That bomber is in for a terrible, terrible surprise Of course, 3 anti-air together will be able to drop that bomber in a heartbeat, but no! It was able to pick up the unit right there and then escape to the north. I do believe that that was the second expansioneer headed that direction that just got KO'd. So kudos to that bomber for the win there. Looks like we've got a pretty even matchup as far as unit count goes. Zlo at 25 mass per tick, just got there. Massive at 23, 180 power to Zlo, but since he is running a much lighter air build, that is understandable. And Massive is slightly mass stalled at the moment, but overall pretty dang well balanced on economy. ACU is moving up to the front. The engineer will be able to get the last rock in hand and then run to the other side in order to build a point defense on this edge. I think he sees the dot a-coming. He knows it's an ACU, and he's now bringing his own commander, accompanied by a group of T1 tanks, to that edge of the battlefield. This is almost like an arena fight in the center. You can kind of picture this as something out of Battle Right or whatnot. You just got a few supporting units at your disposal as you dodge and weave amongst the rocks, trying to take down your opponent. On the north, finally getting this expansion online. Massive running neck and neck with Zlo for mass income because he has not claimed the south side either. You know what I never realized about this? There's actually cave paintings here. What? There is a cobra. There is a farmer, maybe? I can't tell if that's like a scythe or if that's a spear. We're gonna say it's a hunter because these are cave paintings. Then we've got what looks like an ancient bison or buffalo or something right over there. It is a horned beast looking somewhat like a cow. Maybe they remember their ancient human past differently than we do. And on the north side, maybe a dancer? Almost looks like rays of the sun coming out. I am not entirely sure. What I am sure of is Zlo's control of the center of the map. He has eradicated all of the enemy mass extractors. He's got a handful of tanks with him, and his ACU is at the front line. So he is going to maintain a stronghold on that, at least until Massive is able to secure the northern edge and get better mass income online with which to outspam Zlo. We've got 5 factories pumping out units. A handful of power generators were built, but for now it looks like he's content with what is going on. And then we've got 2 more auxiliary land factories on the outside edges. Zlo has got 6 land factories in base, a 7th on the way, giving him a roughly equal number of factories. Actually, he's got 1 more. But he doesn't have any on the outside edge, so he is having to stream units from the core of his base to respond to literally every threat, and that is going to make his response time slightly slower than his opponent's. He may end up losing a mass extractor or 2 over the trouble. Zlo pushing out the other side. I think a risky move considering the number of tanks that are in the area, although he does have a rock to play Ring Around the Rosie on in order to prevent too much damage hitting his commander. He is going to be in a little bit of trouble over the air though, because he only has 4 interceptors to his name versus his opponent's 7 to 8. There are a couple stacked. I think that's 8. Or maybe more like 15, counting the ones coming in from the base. And that means he's probably about to get T1 bombered. Zlo at 33 mass per tick, Massive at 37. Zlo on 1500 reclaim, 631 for Massive. So that is going to be virtually identical economic potential due to the reclaim that has gotten. But as the game moves on, Massive is going to pull ahead due to his steadily higher income. Zlo's going to have to reclaim the portions of this map that he has lost in order to even up the balance. Zlo also having to fall back due to the Auroras that are now pestering his commander from just out of reach. An absolutely infuriating thing to deal with as an unupgraded commander. T1 bomber zipping across. Gonna drop on the radar there, eliminating Zlo's source of intel. He doesn't have any land scouts mixed into his units, and that is going to give a pretty huge advantage to Massive, who does have scouts and will be able to engage from range with the Auroras. That is a tremendous advantage indeed. Too bad Zlo doesn't have overcharge. That would have been an easy 4 tank kills, maybe 5. With a single shot, but he is going to wade into the battle nonetheless. and come out ahead due to absorbing most of the damage directly with his face. Your face is a relatively good damage sponge, at least until you die. Kind of like that old saying, I can stop a bullet, just like Superman, but I can only do it once. Aurora's on the north side, reclaiming a little bit of territory over there. Gonna pick off a couple of mass extractors, engineers rebuilding in the back. However, Zlo is in a little bit of a sticky situation. He's at about half HP. Massive is at full, and Massive has a few more tanks than he does in the immediate area, but I think Zlo will be able to pull away and build himself back up. More tanks moving in. Massive now in the equal and opposite bad place. He's surrounded by about 20 tanks, but he is going to back off, and I don't think Zlo dares to waste the tanks on that ACU that would be necessary to attempt a kill shot, especially since there's more tanks moving up from the back that will be able to rescue the ACU. T1 bombers harassing Zlo to death as he contracts towards his base yet more. We do have the T1 point defense online in the northern expansion that will be able to stop those Auroras as they come casually strolling by. This was a nice move on the north, but Massive did see it and was able to move tanks to the north in order to stop that in its tracks, or in its hovers, as it were. And then Zlo is going to be forced to move up to try and gain this reclaim field. And I don't know exactly how that is going to go for him. It would appear that he has a few more units than his opponent. We would definitely hope so. And he is still just spamming away with the T1 land factories. That's going to be a total of 4, 8, 12 with a jumble of T1 power, and 3 more planned for a total of 15. While on the other side, I am just going to double click and go the lazy way instead of counting. That is going to be a total of 7 land factories. So literally double the production from Zlo that we see from Massive. However, he is still struggling with the air problem, and even if he builds twice as many tanks, if half of them die to the T1 bombers that he can't seem to get a grip against, it is not going to make the outcome any different. Let's take a look at the reclaim. 37 to 37 income, tied up exactly. 3,700 in the bank for Zlo, and Massive sitting at a paltry 1,000 reclaim. So in every way, Zlo should be ahead, except for the fact that he cannot get a grip on air. I am a little concerned for his health, because there is a T2 air factory online. That means he's got swift winds to contend with, as well as interceptors. Any hope that he had of gaining air control just went out the window. And there's now T2 gunships coming online. Believe it or not, there is a song for that, but I am not going to sing it for you today because it would be too much of a distraction from what is going on right now. Just bear in mind that it may pop up sometime later. We've got T1 Mass Extractor going down to the raiding gunship. Of course, if you don't have the inties to respond, you're stuck with land-based AA, and since there isn't a flak available, no T2 HQ, that could be a little bit of a problem to deal with. But I think Zlo is just hoping that through sheer force of spam, he will be able to overcome his opponent. But I don't think, yes, he has started to mix in a rather large amount of T1 anti-air. That will reduce the number of tanks in his forces, though. So it is a double-edged sword. Zlo vacuuming up what mass he can from directly behind his front line of tanks. We've got gun range upgrade happening on Massive's ACU, but that ACU is rather exposed. I would hope that Zlo can force him out of the upgrade. T2 gunships moving in to harass the targets, though. And T1 tanks moving up for the rescue. 65% on that upgrade. You definitely don't want to give up on it at that point. Zlo is going to back off. 3,300 health, rapidly dropping due to all of the gunships around him. And boom! There goes Zlo's commander. And this proves that you cannot solve all of your problems with T1 spam. Or at least not T1 land spam. You gotta have a little bit of air. That's gonna put Massive forward in the winner's bracket, and Zlo is going to get knocked to the loser's brackets. Good game to both of these guys. Congrats to Massive. That is gonna wrap everything up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and share it with someone. If you want to support the channel, catch the streams, or join the Discord, check out the links in the description.
Thank you all for being at least partially insane, and I will see you in the next one.